And we are live. Hi, it is so good to see all of you on the live in person. And welcome to everybody who's watching. We already have people commenting. Hello, live with two
Hi.
YouTubers. Good to see you. Yeah, so I know there's been a lot of hype for this live. For those of you who are joining who don't know what this live is, we are doing indie author live chats. My name is Katherine D, and I'm a fantasy author. And I just love the indie author community so much as a newer author. So we've been doing this series of lives since the new year. And if there's any genres you want, mostly fantasy, go back and look through all the recordings because they're still up on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. But today we have one of my favorite categories, if I'm allowed to have a favorite, of fantasy, which is portal and adventure fantasy. And we have with us Candy D. Mitchell, Becky James, Jessika Grewe Glover, and Jessica Cantwell, whose book I just adore so much. I have not gotten a chance to read everybody's books yet. I've read Becky's second book.
Yeah. Sorry it was out of order, but yes.
And that was good. So I'm so excited just to tell everybody about your work for 2022. So Candy, why don't you start us off? We'll just go clockwise around. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you write.
Okay, so my name is Candy. I've been writing for like forever, as long as I can remember, but I was kind of too chicken to actually take the leap until, God, like I would say 2019, released my first book in like 10 years in 2020, which is Goodbye Theodore, and it's a trilogy. And the second one is coming out this year. I'm just waiting on my editor, basically, to finish. And that will be called Welcome to Falling Hour. And do you want me to talk about what the first book is or no?
Yeah, help yourself.
So the first book is about this little town called Harrisburg. And what ends up happening is people start getting taken by these creatures called twilight breathers or Eltress in their own land. That's what they're called there. And they're kind of like fluffy dragons. So when I write stuff, because I do fantasy horror, but when I write creatures, like, I don't know, I want them to be kind of cute. And I like humor in horror stories. So, and I'm just a weird person anyways, and like have a good sense of humor. So you see that in my writing. But so one of the people get taken with this Theodore. And so three friends kind of get together, like, we need to find him because they all don't really know each other, but they all kind of find each other while they're looking for him. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't want to say because it'll give away too much of the book. But in the second one, you actually go to where the Eltress are from. So I actually love the second one more. So I'm really excited for this one to be released. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, I love that because second books are notoriously the hard books to write for some reason in a lot of people's series. So
I actually felt like this one was easier, but I'm also a pantser. Like, so that means I don't plot anything. I'm just like, tell me what you want me to do, like with my characters, and I just go. So, and I'm working on the last book right now, and it's all going very fast, but I'm noticing that I'm kind of plotting in this one because I'm like, I have to like check off these boxes to make sure they get answered. You know, like I can't leave plot holes in this one. That would be awful. So.
Hi Luna, thanks for joining. And Life with Two YouTubers says, good for you taking that leap is scary, but so worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And yes, about the links, I will be dropping everybody's Instagram links in the comments as we go through. So feel free to follow anybody you don't already follow. It's exciting just to connect with so many authors in this genre, especially since we're all indie. And or hybrid. I know there's a couple hybrid authors, but we're all indie, and so we love you guys. We do it all for you. So, Becky, why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Well, hello there. My name's Becky. Rather like Candy, I've been writing forever and ever and ever, amen. But I'm actually a scientist. So I decided, let's go for, the hard subjects and engineering and things. When really we all just know that science is making stuff up and having mathematics to back up the plot twists. Got a lot of pleasure writing on trains and doing lots of travel and just sort of putting things together. And then the characters said very loudly and very clearly, look, we're done hanging out with you. It's been fun, but we need out there into the world. So that's when I dipped my toe into what's all this publishing thing about. And right from the very start, knew that I wanted to be an indie author because I absolutely love every single element of it. From the writing the book, yes, is its own pleasure, but then like putting together the packages and the cover, and apart from blurb writing, can I not like blurb writing? If any of you guys have tips about blurb writing, yes, please. Also the sort of the sort of networking with other authors, and that's been something that I've particularly enjoyed, and I've just realized that I've spent like a year doing this, and that's where we met Catherine as well. So happy authorversary to me, I suppose. But yes, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, and happy author anniversary to you too. It's exciting. So, Jessika, there's two Jessicas here. So, Jessika Grewe Glover. I'm gonna let you go first, and then Jessika Cantwell. Let's go. What? I guess. Sorry, I can't even speak today. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Jessika. I've been writing forever as well. I used to scribble on cocktail napkins, and when I traveled with my mom, and really, like, I have a degree in creative writing, but I kind of put it all aside to do the great other. I have 2 teenage kids, and so I kind of really focused on that for a while until 2018. The idea for Another Beast's Skin, my debut novel, just kind of started like clocking me on the head, and I wrote it, and the rest is history. And so I have, so that came out in November. I have the second book coming out next month, and I love my second book too, Candy. Just like you, honestly, it was my favorite. It's longer than all 3, darker. I love my second book. And then the third is coming out in October, and then I have a couple stories coming out in anthologies and some other novels in the works, and just I kind of can't stop now that I've started. So, I have no tips for blurb writing. I'm atrocious at blurb writing, Becky. It's so painful to me. I get kind of like antsy and angry about it. I don't know. And it's funny because I grew up, I have a learning disability. I have it's a type of dyslexia with numbers, and it made science really hard for me. So I kind of rebelled and have all these complicated science plots in all of my stories now, just kind of as rebellion. And I wish it came naturally to me. So,
Yeah, no, I think blurb writing is a whole different thing. Like writing copy for ads in general just sucks. My husband wrote my back cover blurb. I'm not even gonna lie. He read my first several attempts, and my mentor read my first several attempts, and they're like, and my husband's like, here, literally his first attempt, and there we go. That's what's on the back of the book.
Super useful.
Like, he could charge for his service.
Okay.
So Jessika Cantwell, it is so good. We have chatted so much on Instagram. It's so good to put a face with the name I see online. Why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Thank you for inviting me. And ladies, it's so nice to meet you. My name is Jessika Cantwell. I am the author of The Realm Saga, which is a young adult epic fantasy series. It's a portal series, and because it's young adult, it's clean. I know a lot of people like some spicy fantasy, but no, that's not what you're going to get here. And I published the first book 10 years ago, the second book probably 9 years ago, and then 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So at that time, I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't on any social media, Instagram. I didn't know anybody else that was independently publishing. And therefore, I really didn't know how to market the books. They sold very well at first by word of mouth through friends. And then after that, it dropped off. So then when I got ill, it was just all too much. So I pulled everything off of Amazon and whatnot. And then in 2020, when we were in the middle of the pandemic, I actually I joined Instagram to follow Selma Blair because she was just diagnosed with MS. And I was like, I'm going to hop on here and just follow her. And then, like maybe a week later, out of the blue, I was like, let me throw my books back on and let me post about it. And the day I posted, I got a sale, and then I started to get followers, and it was really exciting. And that's what led me to this, adventure that I'm on in the indie author community. And since then, I am a huge indie author advocate. I host challenges with my friend Rachel Stanley, and I do author interviews and all kinds of things to promote everybody else's book. And over the summer, I just released the third in the trilogy, and that is by far my favorite. And it was the hardest to write because I was wrapping it up, but I did sneak in a little way to have a spinoff. So we should see more of those characters soon.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
So excited. So yeah, we've had a lot of comments coming through while we've been talking. Let's see, Life with Two YouTubers actually just bought Jessika's book and already has Realm on her desk. So both Jessika's books now. Let's see, my daughter hates writing blurbs. I do it for her. Yeah, they're just a whole different skills.
They're horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't
Outsource.
mistake the fact that writers, just because we can write, it doesn't mean we can write everything. Just certain.
Exactly.
Well, you're supposed to take 60 to 120,000 words and squeeze it into 3 little paragraphs. Not easy.
No, not possible.
Yeah. No.
Oh, what a cute kitty.
Yeah, I'm a cat person.
Mine are sleeping, I guess. Melissa Wise, hi, so happy to see you. And she said blurbs are hard. Yes, they are. Around the world, indie authors prompts rock.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll put that back on for an extra second in case anybody is on Instagram and you're wanting to look at this if you're a writer. I don't have the dedication to keep up with all of them, but I do like seeing everybody's posts about them. Becky's cat says hi. Yes. Becky's cat is the only social cat around. My 3 are all off doing better things, I guess. So yeah, it is so good to meet all of you, and we're going to talk a little bit about what is coming up in 2022. I am so excited because this year authors seem to be on the chat saying they're writing heavily, they're querying, or they have a giant publishing release scheduled. So I'm curious if you feel like you fall into one of those 3 buckets, if you're somewhere in between. We'll start with Jessika Cantwell. We're going to sort of go reverse this time. Why don't you tell us what is coming in 2022?
Well, I feel mine is odd because I am young adult fantasy with my first series. The new projects that I'm working on are so completely different. One is a children's picture book series, which I wrote a while ago, and I am focused on illustrating that. And then I'm alternating that with a new project, which is based on my life experiences because I was a victim of gun violence when I was 17. And so I am writing about that story and my abusive childhood. So you kind of have, which obviously doesn't blend with YA and children's picture books. So I will be publishing that under a pen name. And yeah, they're so completely different. So those are the 2 projects that I'm working on for this year.
Has it been a stretch sort of switching into 2 pen names? Because it's a lot of work even keeping up 1 pen name.
Well, I don't have any. I published my first set of novels under my name, Jessika Cantwell, and the children's picture book will go under my name as well. The pen name I am so nervous about because I don't even have a name picked, which I am going to start a street team. I'm hoping that I can have help from them in actually coming up with this name. And then the whole like marketing, like how do you, I really don't want another Instagram account dedicated to another persona. It's so exhausting as it is trying to sell yourself. So that I haven't really thought about how to tackle that yet. I'm thinking I might just say, hi, this is me. I'm writing under this pen name, and this is it.
It says, don't be nervous, you're incredible.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, the support of the community is great. And you've got this. You've got this. So, Jessika Grewe Glover, what is going on in 2022? Because you released your debut novel last year, right?
Yeah,
Another Beast
November.
Skin.
And then
So I'm going to drop a link to it in the comments. I'm dropping everybody's book links in the comments. But yeah, go ahead. What's coming new? Is there a second book you said
second
you liked?
book? Yeah, A Braiding of Darkness is the second book, and that comes out March 22nd. So that's pretty close. And I also have a story called Moths at Bay, which is kind of a dark romance, but it's PG-13 in an anthology called Aphotic Love. That's a conglomeration of a bunch of talented authors and poets, and that comes out in March as well. And then have some flash fiction being published in online magazines in March. And then my third book of Chaos and Haste, third book in the Beast Skin series, comes out in October. And then I have like a literary thriller. I kind of describe it as Florida Southern Gothic, which I don't have a release date for that yet, but that is in the works. And I just finished a draft of my dark academia novel, and so that's going to be going out to betas soon. Yeah, so a fair few things going on this year. It's just I have the bug and it's working, so I'm gonna
work
go
it.
That's really exciting. That's a lot. So we've got drafting and new pen naming over here, and then we've got lots and lots of releases while doing everything else. And I think you've hit on something I wish I'd known last year when my debut novel came out, which was, oh, my novel's off with all these editors. I have like 3 months with nothing to do. Let me just be on social media, instead of, oh, yeah, you could be writing for these 3 months so that you have something else, and then starting that cycle, one in writing, one in editing, one in publishing. It's like, I don't know. It's a ever-spinning cog. So.
And life gets in the way, we have other things going on too. We have children and pets and like jobs.
Yeah, and that's a great point. So I think, does everybody here work a day job too? Like, I work a day job, and yeah, Candy doesn't though.
Well, I did have one, but I still do, but I put the brakes on it. I'm also an artist, and so I've had a handmade business for 10 years, 11 years. And I was just like, okay, I just want to close my shop for right now for like a year, because having a toddler, well, I guess he's right out of toddler. He's 4, but it's a lot. Like, I just don't have, like, my schedule is so hectic. Like, it's like, I want him to like, oh, do this right now while I write. But he's always been very like mom, since he was born. So it's a lot, it's a lot to like, just be like, okay, you go do this and I'll write. He's normally, climbing on me. Like, it's a lot. So to get me to be like, have that creativity going is very stressful kind of sometimes. And then he'll be like gone. My husband will be like, oh, I'm going to take him to the skate park, or whatever. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to write. And literally they leave. And I'm like, the house is dirty. Oh, maybe I should clean the dishes, or I'm like thinking about this other stuff. And then my dogs are like, we have 3 dogs and a cat. And they're like, oh, love on me because you don't love me as much as like when Rain's here, my son, because, you know, he gets all the attention mostly. So they're like, oh, you know, we have mom all alone now, you know? And so it's like, I'm like really like, oh man. And now I can't think of anything because I feel like I have all this other stuff going on. So it's like randomly it'll hit me like, oh, you have all this stuff to write. I do try to have a schedule every day, but it just depends on what my toddler wants to do that day. You know, it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot.
So yeah, some of us work full time, some of us work full time and aren't paid because we're momming and
Yeah.
other things. And
Yeah.
you know, really when you're an indie author, you don't have a publishing company sending you tons of money to fund your writing. So yeah, these are all sacrifices somewhere in some way, but it's worth it. Um, so Becky, what do you have coming for 2022? Because last year you put out not one, but two books, and then got dragged into the special project that we're in.
Yep. Not kicking and screaming, I'll have you know. Went eagerly. But yes. So I actually have the King's Swordsman series all drafted out. So all that sort of is working on it, you know, and as I increase different knowledge in different areas and like realize my weaknesses and blind spots, and you know, I'm able to sort of go back and polish it and then go back and polish it and then go back and polish it and completely rewrite book 3 and book 4 because it just needed taking down completely. Like the scaffolding is there maybe and yes, completely rewrote book 3, definitely, for sure. And then a new book 4 sort of had to arise in the gap. So what was a 7-book series is now looking like sort of more of an 8-book series. So I would be very interested, yes, in tips on how to round up a series, because I don't seem to be able to stop. So books 3 and 4 are coming this year for sure. And then, you know, got my eye on doing book 5. Another sort of corner I've painted myself into is that I'll have titles like The Tenants in the Tattoos, The Bind of Blood and Bonds, and so I need to have a pattern for each of the titles. So as well as writing blurbs, I have to come up with, you know, mnemonic titles. Don't do this, kids. don't try this at home. So that's on the one side. On the other side then is the romantic fantasy side. So that is a co-authoring project, which I'm very excited to work with Ren Murphy on that. And we are writing about British Fae. So Selkies, Catchy, Cushy, yeah, all the stuff. Really excited about that. And I've sort of, to get in the mood, I wrote a prequel, and it was supposed to be, you know, 25,000 words, and ended up being 75,000 words. So that will be coming out very soon as well. And then I also have something sort of bubbling away in the background. And so Jessika Cantwell, about the sort of second pen name, what I've done, and I'm experimenting with, and I'm not sure how successful it's going to be yet, is that I have another Instagram account that just reviews the target market things, and that is a good way of building up readership. I think, well, so far it seems to be building up readership in the type of book that I may or may not want to write in the future, and it's kind of fun, and it helps out other indie authors as well, because everyone knows reviews are everybody needs one. So yeah, that's what's up for me in 2022, as well as working, parenting, wifing, mum to 2 cats. Survived the pandemic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And yeah, creating that life balance is so tough. Yes, it is. I've been struggling to find it. I think sometimes as authors we can veer into more books, more writing, less writing, and then you're a reader too, and you're reading and you're editing and all that stuff. I actually have a YouTube video going in my other series, which is Indie Author Behind the Scenes, and that's going to come up in the next 4 weeks about how I'm trying to find work-life balance. So I would love for anybody who's watching who's interested, you can tune in, hear what I've found that works and doesn't work so far, and bring me your tips.
Coffee.
But yeah, we're all in this together. The author community is really supportive. And Candy, you've got so much going on. I don't know how you find time to do everything you do. So why don't you share with us what projects are you doing in 2022?
So, well, I'm currently actually working on 5 books. 6? 5 or 6. I'm constantly having ideas, so I'm writing pretty often, at least like paragraphs of things, and then kind of coming back. I'm trying to just focus on my trilogy right now. So the second one, I'm hoping it'll be released in March. My editor, I love her. She kind of got stolen away from me a bit because a publishing company hired her. So I'm like, so it's taken her a lot longer to do this book because she's like doing a full-time job with them and then going back to me. But so I might have to find another editor on top of her. But so that will come out hopefully in March. And I already started the last one, like I said. And I'm hoping to have it released by next year, early next year. And then I'm working on this one book. Don't laugh. My husband thought it was like really funny at first. I'm working on kind of a, not exactly a retelling, but kind of like for Sleepy Hollow. But I explained it to him and he just thought it was funny at first because it's like, I do dark stories normally. So it's actually in the fairy world is what it's going to be. And instead of a headless horseman, the fairy is actually on a snail, a gigantic snail. And it's not a silly story. I actually had him read like the first like few pages. And he's like, oh man, this is really creepy. And I was like, yeah, it's not fun. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it's really cool. So I'm really excited about that. I don't have a name for it yet. And then I'm working on a Apocalyptic Book. That's also fantasy horror. But so with that one, they have all these museums around the world, and it has the last like bits of nature living in them. And so there's these scientists who kind of study it, and they're like the main characters. So I don't want to give too much away because I've just started that one. I have, I don't know, maybe 10,000 words. But that one I'm assuming will probably be at least a trilogy, maybe longer. So I'm really excited about that one because I've never written like apocalyptic type of book. So, but I dabble in like all fantasy, really, like all the all the genres of fantasy. So I'm excited about that. And I do have a children's book that I'm working on. It's more probably middle grade. And I'm hoping to finish it before when my son's like that age or before, because I would love for him to read it, you know? And that's a fantasy book too, which has like one of the main characters is a jumping spider. If you follow my account, you'll know I absolutely love nature. I love spiders, like that type of stuff. So it's also kind of to say like, you know, spiders aren't bad. So if you follow my page, you'll see all the stuff I write about it. So that's about all that I think I'm working on. I know I have other stories, but it's like barely anything. So yeah.
So a lot of writing. Luna asks, what is the title of the trilogy that's supposed to release this year?
Oh, so it's Return to Falling Tower is the title for all of them, but the second book will be called Welcome to Falling Tower. And I haven't thought of the last book yet because I wanted to kind of go together because the first one's Goodbye Theodore and then Welcome to Falling Tower. And then I'm like, it needs another, you know, thing like that. So I'm probably going to have my betas and my ARC readers help me on it, like have them decide on the poll. But yeah.
Life with Two YouTuber says, ideas are never ridiculous ever. Sounds cool. My 15-year-old son won't let us kill spiders. We catch and release them.
Thank you.
So do we.
I never kill spiders. I will actually pick them up. Most of them. I'm sorry, I'm going to like get on my soapbox for this. Most of them do not want to hurt you. I can assure you, none of them. Very few are aggressive. I will literally pick them up if I don't want it in the house and put it outside. And no, I've never been bitten. If you don't want to touch them, use the cup method. Put a cup over them, slide a piece of paper, take it outside. Okay, that's all I have to say.
I love these lives because we never know what direction they're going.
Sorry.
Save the spiders.
That's right. And Luna, I did drop Candy's link in, although it was the first one that I sent over claiming was Becky's, and then I had to correct myself and say, no, this one's Becky's. The first one that I sent and said was Becky's, where I lied, that one was Candy's. So yeah, this year, Portal Fantasy is all up in my wheelhouse for writing and releasing. If you've read The Vow That Twisted Fate, which is my debut novel, it came out last year, I have its huge love affair with portals that go to different dimensions, often of the same world. So that sort of stays the case with Splitting Dawn, and that's my book in the Realm of Darkness set. The Realm of Darkness set is the 99-cent box set that Becky's co-written book is in. The fantasy romance. There's 40, over 40. It's like 40, 45, 40 something. Yeah. Full-length fantasy romance novels in that set. So Splitting Dawn is going into that one, and it's going to be dark fantasy romance with some portal stuff on the side. And then I'm writing Starfire Express, which is my big portal adventure fantasy where the girl gets on a train full of monsters, is the only human there because she got on the wrong train, and she gets swept up in this celebration tour where they're so happy that they've apprehended the godmother, the criminal mastermind. So they're taking her back to the central city, and it's sort of like Hunger Games meets 10th Kingdom, I guess. So yeah, been busy writing, getting ready to start releasing, just like you guys. I do have one question, even though we're a little over, and then we will wrap, because thank you so much, everybody, for submitting your questions on Twitter and on Facebook and on YouTube. What is the difference between a portal fantasy and an adventure fantasy, or are they always the same? Is the question.
Well, doesn't matter who says it.
No, okay. Go ahead.
Well, there's so many different subgenres and stuff, but my understanding with portals is that you're going to another place, right? And then adventure could be in the same place the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
very succinct.
So like my second book would definitely be full on portal because they leave their one world to a whole different one. So that's more portal, I would think, fully.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's usually a fish out of water sort of, oh, this is a whole new world and I have to get used to this. Take the like culture shock.
Yeah. Different realms.
Jessika Cantwell, you do sort of the same thing. Oh, I'm so sorry. There was a lag there, I think. Where you, like me, there's a portal, all right, but it takes them into a different dimension of their own world. Plus, there's adventure in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so very much for joining today. This has been so much fun just getting to know you and hear about your books. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in to view. Please give all of these amazing authors a follow on Instagram, because I follow all of them and their content is great. It's not all about our books. There's cool writing tips and like somebody has said, I think it was Jessika Cantwell, promotion for other people who are in the community that are writing similar things, and cute quizzes and all around fun stuff in books we're reading. So yeah, give them a follow. We have more indie author live chats coming up in the next few weeks, including one with a set of bilingual authors. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you get more indie author live chats and meet some new authors this year. Luna says excited for all the new books coming out. And so epic to see all of you live. It is really a pleasure to see all of you live. So thank you so much again.
No, thank you.
Thanks for having
me.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.